abroad and to acquaint them with the existing international cooperation funding opportunities through national and binational S&T cooperation funding organizations. As speaker, we are delighted to have with us today Dr. Purnima Rupal, Head of Science Communication and Dissemination Directorate, and the Head of Directors General's Executive Directorate of CSIR, who was until very recently heading the Indo-French Advanced Research Center for the Promotion of Advanced Research, popularly known as CEFIPRA. We have with us Mr. Raja Chandran Madan, the Director of Indo-German S&T Center, known as IGSTC, and his very esteemed and colleague and dear friend, Dr. Lalita, the Chief Scientific Officer at the IGSTC. Dr. Nandini Kannan, who is the Executive Director of the Indo-US S&T Forum. We have with us Mr. Saridevi Jyoti Kumar, the Chief Executive Officer of Global Innovation and Technology Alliance, that coordinates, among other programs, the bilateral industrial R&D programs on behalf of Government of India with several countries, including Canada, Finland, Sweden, Israel, Italy, Republic of Korea, Spain, UK, and Taiwan. Today, we would have specific detailed session by our eminent speakers about the funding programs and schemes operated by their organizations, particularly the ones that support industrial research collaborations. Many of our scientists are aware of these schemes and funding opportunities and have been participating and utilizing these programs very effectively. However, there is enormous scope and opportunity through these organizations to boost collaborative development and to bring in diverse expertise from some of the most advanced countries around the globe to work together with CSIR. We are thankful to our speakers and the participants for joining this very important and relevant session of today on international cooperation funding opportunities. We look forward to having a very enriching session. My colleague, Dr. Mohit Anand, will conduct the sessions further. I would now hand over the platform to Dr. Mohit. Please, Mohit.
Thank you, ma'am. A very good afternoon to one and all again. Thank you for joining this webinar. This webinar has participants from across CSIR, including scientists and technical officers and PhD students working in different domains. The webinar is also being streamed live on CSIR social media handles, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter for the benefit of the larger scientific fraternity of India. I will briefly mention the flow of our sessions today. We will be having 4 sessions, 40-minute each, starting with the Indo-US Science and Technology, starting with the Indo-French Center for Promotion of Advanced Research, which would be followed by the second session on Indo-German Science and Technology Center. Then we are having some technical issues for connection with GITA and Indo-US Science and Technology Forum, and we'll get back to you on that. Each session will be followed by a brief Q&A specific to the session and an open interaction and discussion at the end of the 4th session. We request our participants to kindly raise their hands virtually or type their questions in the chat box. I would also request the participants to keep their microphones muted and web cameras off and switch them only in case of any queries. Without further ado, I would briefly introduce and invite our first speaker, Dr. Purnima Rupal ma'am. Dr. Purnima Rupal is the Head of Science, Communication and Dissemination Directorates, SCDD, and the Director General's Executive Directorate of CSIR. Until very recently, Dr. Rupal was heading the Indo-French Advanced Research Center for the Promotion of Advanced Research, CEFIPRA. Dr. Rupal served as the director of CEFIPRA from December 2018 to December 2021 and contributed significantly towards strengthening the Indo-French science, technology, and innovation collaborations. She served as a counselor for science and technology at the Embassy of India, Tokyo, from December 2015 to December 2018. During her assignment in Japan, she contributed significantly towards enhancing the bilateral STI cooperation, space, and nuclear cooperation, academic exchanges, and healthcare cooperation between the 2 countries. Dr. Rupal has been associated with the International S&T Affairs Directorate of CSIR for over 20 years and was responsible for planning, management, and coordination of bilateral and multilateral science, technology, and innovation cooperation programs. Dr. Rupal has authored many books, articles in newspapers and magazines, and edited books devoted to science dissemination. I very humbly welcome you, ma'am. And Dr. Rupal, please.
Purnima, you are on mute.
Ma'am, you're on mute.
Kindly unmute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Mohit, for this kind introduction. And good afternoon to one and all. And I'm really happy to be back at something I love most, both CEFIPRA and ISTAT, the international division that I have been a part of. So I have this opportunity. I must thank Dr. Rama Bansal for giving me this opportunity today to introduce some of the opportunities that exist for funding through this bilateral organization, Indo-French Center for Promotion of Advanced Research. As we know it, the French acronym is CEFIPRA for that. So without taking much time, I think I will come to my presentation. Give me just one moment. Taking a bit of a time. Can you see my slides?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. I don't know if it's in the mode that it should be. Okay, fine. Thank
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
So, yeah. So it's the bilateral center was actually, the idea of this center is, in fact, one of the first centers that was set up in India. And after some initial, discussions between the two governments, sometime between 1980s, early 80s, and then it came into existence in 1987, where it was registered as a society, and with the main mandate given to it was, of course, to promote scientific cooperation between India and France. It acted as a catalyst for strengthening the collaborative and industrial research in cutting-edge areas across the knowledge innovation chain, and also for human resource development. This? Okay. Oh. Just give me a moment. I think it's skipping some slides. Okay. And in the initial years of its existence, for the first 15 years, of course, it grew from being benefiting from the people-to-people interaction that existed between the scientists and other, students and faculties of the two countries, and grew to then becoming more international and institutional in linkages were formed. So from being in, funder, it was just a connector. The first 15 years were basically only connecting the collaborative basic research between the two countries. And then it redefined its role from being a funder to the facilitator and as a catalyst while strengthening the various program profiles across the knowledge innovation chain, which I will be coming in a few slides from now. And the very reason that it was set up was that we wanted to have a single window of for the scientific community for both the countries, so that they didn't have to go through all the departments that existed. The ecosystem is large in both the countries. So this actually provided that a single point window for all the stakeholders to connect. And this, of course, also provided a great visibility, easier monitoring and control, which exists till today, I can say. And there is also, it offers a lot of flexibility in administrative procedures for both the countries. And there is focus, of course, on high-level research and development. CEFIPRA has now evolved and launched a very comprehensive strategy addressing industrial competitiveness and R&D-led innovation. We are into the 34th year of our existence, and just to give you a glimpse of the program profile of CEFIPRA, I told you it's across the knowledge innovation chain. We support basically a lot of basic and applied research under a program called the Collaborative Scientific Research Program, which we abbreviate as CSRP. And under this, there are also some targeted programs, which I will speak about a little later. But broadly, another set of programs that we support are the Industry Academia Research Development Program, which we abbreviate as the IARDP. Under both these programs, we do support also not only the collaborative projects, but also seminars and workshops. So we will come to the specifics of each of these programs in the latter slides. And there are some dedicated human resource development programs like the Raman Shapak Fellowship, a CEFIPRA ESON Fellowship, and very recently launched Women Postdoctoral Fellowship Program, which is, it has been approved. I think we will be implementing it from this year now. And among some of the other targeted programs that we have are the Indo-French Center for Applied Mathematics. DST has a program with the INRIA and CNRS, and then DST Hoya has another program with CNRS. We also have some CEFIPRA annual lecture series under which we, invite some eminent speakers from the two sides to benefit the scientific community of the two countries. And then we also have some the facilitators like TDB and BPI France, which support the industry academia development programs. Some of the recently completed programs, I just have listed some of them here, but I think this is just to give you a flavor of the kind of programs that CEFIPRA conducts. In numbers, if I just project it, since its inception, the collaborative projects supported by the center are something around 600 now. Over 50 now, I can say, industrial projects, because some are in the pipeline of approval. And under both the formats, we also have supported more than 170 seminars and workshops. What is important here is the outcomes, I would say, the institutional linkages that have been set up as a part of these projects. Some 165 Indian institutions have been linked to more than 80 French institutes. The mobility of scientists and students supported by the center is beyond the 4,000. The citations, the publications over 3,000 have yielded out of these projects and seminars and other formats. They receive a very high citation as given by the Web of Science data. The human resource trend is immense. So this is one thing we really are happy about, which we have included. It includes PhDs and postdocs. As a result, we've also developed some 151 over that processes, designs, products, and patents listed here. So coming to the core programs that I spoke about, the collaborative scientific research programs. So these are published twice a year. I suppose we have some people who would be interested in applying to these programs. So I thought of listing these deadlines for the programs. And the other one, which is the Industry Academia Development Research and Development Program, the deadlines are Feb and July. They're almost next to each other, twice a year. There are themes dedicated for each of these calls. Seminars and workshop proposals are also received with the same deadlines. So this is the portal, dedicated portal through which these can be submitted. Eligibility for these projects to be submitted is the PI must have a permanent position, must meet the national level eligibility criteria for retirement and operation of grants. And of course, we expect them to be in service till the end of the project. So we encourage them to have younger co-PIs. Some of the areas supported under this collaborative scientific research proposals are, just these are indicative, need not necessarily be in the same thing, but it's of course decided by the Scientific Council. So this is to give you a glimpse of what you get for under the program. As the project, if is approved, you get some manpower to the Indian side. And the French side, there are recurring expenses, international travel, and equipment. Equipment, of course, we only limited to the Indian collaborators. And the budget for each project is within 200,000 euros. And for the Industry, Academia, Research and Development Program, the aim, of course, is to link the industry and research institutes of the two countries, to leverage research skills of these institutes and to enhance the competitiveness of the industrial partner in order to produce more processes and products, new processes and products, and also enhance the quality of the existing processes products. And this is the portal I showed also for the submission of the projects under this program. Eligibility here is, as we call it, the 2+2 model. So at least one of the industrial partners should be from the industry or a startup or an SME, and the other would be the knowledge partner, of course. The project must be industry-centric in the sense that the lead PI must be from the industry. And it's generally for a duration of 3 years. The budget is the same as what we had in the CSRP, 200,000 euros. Major industries involved in the project, we would encourage them to actually invest in the R&D activities, and not only in kind, but also in cash. So ranging from 10 to 25%, depending on the size of the industry. If it's a big company, they even sometimes invest something like 25% of the project cost. Seminars, workshops, and training schools. CEFIPRA organizes these training school seminars and workshops. They provide by providing some financial support of something like 25k euros. These are, again, and I told you, under both the formats, we accept proposals. There are some targeted programs in the flowchart that I showed in the initial slide. So this is something of that with the DST, with INRIA, and CNRS had initiated a program in 2013, which was facilitated through CEFIPRA. So we do take up some activities like these, where ministries of the two sides or institutes of the two countries take up these MOUs, and then we facilitate that. So the programs under these, the areas identified were, of course, listed here. I'm not going to read them out. But just to tell you that this is an ongoing program under which some of you who are working in these areas can submit proposals. Also, another program between the DST and the CNRS was initiated in 2018, and we still have some projects ongoing under this. These are identified, the areas are mutually identified by the two funding organizations. And the funding support provided, again, in this is something like manpower is provided to both the sides, contingency, international travel with overheads. So the program is generally, the call is out by July, August, and these are the deadlines, and we announce the results sometime in Jan or Feb. And this is the dedicated mobility program of the center, which is called the Raman Sharpak Fellowship. It was launched in 2013 with an aim to exchange doctoral students between the two countries. But what we noticed was a kind of asymmetry between the numbers of the two sides. We weren't getting enough French, researchers coming to India. So we included the French master students from 2016. And this is funded by the DST and the French Embassy, implemented by CEFIPRA, of course. And this recently, a lot of programs could not be, taken up due to the pandemic that happened world over. But this year we are launching this program, as it says, so the deadline is 31st March. Some of you students who are working, who are doing their PhD and aim to do a part of that in France can apply for this. So the target group, as I told you, is the Indian and French PhD research scholars and master students only for France. It's a short-term fellowship. So the areas are, I think, almost everything. It spans from atmospheric sciences to engineering sciences. These are broad, so very, very broad. I think most of you can fit in your research areas into this. The eligibility is 30 years maximum. Application procedure is all given on our website. And as support, the Indian fellows get 1,500 euros per month as for the per diem, local travel, accommodation charges, etc. Similarly, the French fellows are given monthly, expense of this much. So one return airfare ticket, insurance, administrative costs. What's important here is the timelines. One should watch out if you don't want to miss it for this year. What we also try to study is the impact, what they have to say when they come back. So we actually conduct some debriefing sessions of these Raman Chaupak fellows. This is very important to assess the, effectiveness and how it's taken by the stakeholders. So we've heard very good things, but we'd also like to hear how we could improve this along as we go along. And the CEFIPRA S&T Fellowship was another fellowship, availed by the Indian PhD students registered in the Indian universities institutes. It's a 3-week duration, maximum 30 years of age can apply into this. Of course, the process is all given in this website, labeled here, mentioned here. And the fellowship support process is all given here. And this is also important that, so this is the European School of Nanosciences. GST, I told you, has launched this very recently, a women postdoctoral fellowship. So I think, yeah, we are launching the call in January. It's been launched already, also ended, okay, because I've been out of this center for 2 months now. So this is good that I hear that they have launched this, and maybe they are now starting for this year for the first time. This is to support the mid-career women scientists. And this actually resulted from an Indo-French Women in Science seminar that was organized by CEFIPRA sometime in 2018. And so as a result of several recommendations that came out of this, we launched this program, and I'm happy to inform that, DST came in support of this, and we've done it in coordination with the DST. So the two countries also organized some knowledge summits to bring all the stakeholders, particularly the students, a lot of students who are, wanting to cross over and make advantage of these collaborations. So all these are available on the websites. This is just to mention the recent summit. So at the second summit, these are some of the areas that were identified by the two countries for joint collaboration. And subsequent to this, we also had the third knowledge summit very recently in November. And out of which, we also organized 2 workshops on artificial intelligence in healthcare and another workshop on artificial intelligence in sustainable agriculture. So some of the suggestions and recommendations that came out of this were, of course, we will be taking up subsequently between the two countries. So some of the thematic areas for future are, listed here. Less data hungry and lightweight. I will not read out all these. So these were some of the recommendations out of the workshops, but we'll be happy to share with anybody who is, interested in these areas on how to connect with the groups here so that they can, work on these and submit projects under this program. So this is the other workshop in artificial intelligence in agriculture. Some of the important thrust areas identified were as listed here. I will move the slide because I don't think we have time to go through everything. And I will be, not doing my duty if I actually don't mention this very important thing that CEFIPRA does find a mention in the joint statements issued by the two countries, which is really, gratifying to see being appreciated in the joint statements. So this is the recent two joint statements when the heads of the states meet and they recognize the role played by the center. That's it from me, and I'll be happy to take any questions if there are any.
Thank you, ma'am. So kind of you. The floor is open for questions. Please, if somebody has some questions, they may kindly raise their hands and we can address them. Online as well, our participants joining us live. If you have any questions, you can type in your chat boxes and we will be happy to take them. So
thank you, Mohit, and thank you all of you, because I'm sorry I have to be in another meeting, so yes. I will stop being with you now, and thank you for giving me this opportunity once again to present the activities of the center. All the best.
Thank you, ma'am. So kind of you, ma'am. Have a So for the benefit of our participants and other colleagues, we will be moving on to another meeting. For participants joining us live, please stay tuned. We will resume back in another 10 minutes and we'll continue with the presentations. For other participants joining us through MS Teams, we are sharing a link on the charts and request you to please join the meeting over there. Thank you. Looking forward to you meeting in another meeting. Please join the link given in the charts for your kind reference. Thank you.
Nowadays it says we met people.
Yeah, hello, ma'am. Thank you for joining.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, I can hear you. Ma'am, the cameras need to be adjusted.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. That was fun.
Really apologetic of the inconvenience.
That was stressful.
Yes. So we will go live in another 2 minutes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. We'll begin, ma'am.
So is that for me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, I'll just briefly introduce you. We are live. Thank you, everyone, once again for joining this very important session. A very good afternoon to you once again. This webinar has participants from across CSIR, including scientists, technical officers, and PhD students working in different domains. The webinar is being streamed live on CSIR social media handles, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter for the benefit of larger scientific fraternity of India. We already have had a session from Indo-French Center for Promotion of Advanced Research by Dr. Purnima Rupal ma'am. We will continue with the other 3 sessions over here, starting from the Indo-US Science and Technology Forum, followed by the Indo-German Science and Technology Center session, and then the final session by Global Innovation and Technology Alliance, GITA. Each session would be followed by a brief Q&A specific to that session and an open interaction and discussion at the end of the 4th session. We request our participants to kindly raise their hands virtually or type their questions in the chat box. I would request the participants to please keep their microphones muted and web cameras off and switch them only in case of any queries. Without further ado, I would briefly introduce and invite our second speaker, Dr. Nandini Kannan, Executive Director, Indo-US Science and Technology Forum, IUSSTF, for her presentation. Dr. Kannan has immense leadership experience in academia and government and has a very clear understanding of the critical role of science and technology plays in this global interconnected society. She has a deep commitment to education and workforce development. Before joining the Indo-US Forum, Dr. Kannan served as a program director at the US National Science Foundation, where she was responsible for core disciplinary research, mathematical science research institutes, and workforce development programs in Division of Mathematical Sciences, as well as several cross-director and cross-agency activities. Dr. Kannan is a fellow of the American Association for the Advancement of Science, American Statistical Association, and the elected member of the International Statistical Institute. Dr. Kannan, please. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mohit. I assume you can see my presentation?
Yes, ma'am, we can.
Perfect, very good. And I have 40 minutes.
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. All right, thank you very much. Again, I'd like to thank CSIR for inviting the bilateral centers and GITA for this particular presentation. I'm delighted to be here, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the Indo-US Science and Technology Forum and also some of the opportunities we have.
Ma'am, you're muted, ma'am. Sorry. Just
Okay.
now you got muted in between.
Okay, it seems to do that on its own. All right. So back again, so IUSSTF is a bilateral organization established in 2000 under an agreement between the 2 governments, the nodal departments in India, the Department of Science and Technology, and in the US, we work with the US State Department. We're registered here as an autonomous body, as a society in India with our office in New Delhi. And we operate through 2 bilateral agreements, the first one that set up the forum in 2000, and the second one that set up what we call the US-India Science and Technology Endowment Fund, and I'll talk a little bit about activities under these a little later. The vision is simple. We want to excel in the science, technology, and innovation space through collaborative initiatives between the 2 countries. Our mission is to act as a catalyst to promote long-term scientific collaborations between the 2 countries through partnerships that involve individual scientists, institutions, and the larger S&T community. We do that through establishing platforms and mechanisms that connect the ecosystems on both sides and help to foster individual and institutional partnerships. We have several objectives. One is to create awareness of opportunities in the space, help to build long-term partnerships through a portfolio that leads to sustainable interactions. We would really like to nurture contacts between young and mid-career scientists. And of course, we encourage public-private partnership to foster elements of innovation and application. Why are international collaborations important? So this is a graph from the OECD report on global risks interconnections map. And you can see, I'm not sure it's visible, but you should be able to see the connections between different risks. So for example, extreme weather and climate action failure are connected. climate action failure leads to loss in biodiversity. So we have risks that are environmental, risks that are economic, geopolitical, societal, and technological. And if you go back and look at the report in more detail, the report talks about the top risks by likelihood. So what do we expect to happen in the next few years? And also in terms of impact. And you can see the obvious things here. The first all relate to climate, action failure, extreme weather, biodiversity loss. And then top risks, especially in light of the COVID pandemic, is infectious diseases. There's also the geopolitical situation. So this is what the OECD report puts out as global risks. And why is this important for us? We understand that many of these big challenges know no geographic boundaries. So things like water, air quality, climate, the impact of climate change, extreme weather, public health, sustainability, energy. These are all challenges that cross borders. In order to address these challenges, we need global collaborations and partnerships that help bring together our best and brightest scientists, engineers, and entrepreneurs. Collaborations and networks in this era of limited resources help us to leverage and share expertise across our science and technology communities, creating synergy and also helping to accelerate progress that may lead to breakthroughs and generation of innovative solutions. And I can think of no better example than what's happened in the past 2 years with COVID. You're all familiar with how long typically vaccine development takes. The fact that we were able to develop a vaccine within 12 months of the first case of COVID-19 being reported talks to the global community coming together to see how we can leverage existing science and technology to really accelerate vaccine development. And finally, international collaborations help us to develop a diverse, globally engaged science, engineering, and technology-enabled workforce. And we've all seen the recent national education policy that also has a big component that talks about internationalization. A little bit about IUSSTF's program portfolio. So we build on what we talked about, having those collaborations. We have what we call 4 verticals. The first one is scientific networks. Under the networks program, which is our flagship program, we have 2 activities. The first is workshops, symposia, and training programs. Again, this is a point of initiation, allowing interactions between the US and Indian S&T community. We're looking for areas that are of mutual interest to both countries and also activities that can generate follow-ups, right? So we want to bring the communities together, catalyze, and then see how we can use those activities to generate new partnerships.
Yeah, I think it is connected now, yes.
So the criteria here for evaluation is how novel is the topic, what are the benefits to both countries, and of course, the potential for developing new and sustained linkages. Just as a quick note, 13 CSIR labs have been supported under 26 bilateral workshops since 2016. The second activity under our networks program is what we call virtual network centers. So this is a step above workshops. This is the next level. You have existing collaborations. We support medium-term engagements between our 2 communities. And what we want the institutions on both sides to do is leverage their existing infrastructure or the funding available, for example, through the CSIR labs or DST or DBT on the Indian side, the National Science Foundation and the National Institutes of Health or Department of Energy. So they have existing funding infrastructure, and what we provide is the way to connect. We have 2 categories, one we call a knowledge R&D center that looks at 2 labs or academic institutions on both sides, so minimum of 2. And then we also have the opportunity to bring in industry partners through the public-private network center. These are annual calls. We have put them on hold because of COVID, but we hope to announce them in the coming year. To address the COVID pandemic, one of the things that our IUSSTF does, and I'm sure all the other bilaterals think about this as well, whenever we see a need for our communities to come together, we have the ability to be nimble and put out new calls. So we put out one for COVID networks in April of 2020. We were able to announce awards within a few months. And some of the research we've supported is looked at everything from basic biology all the way to genetic strategies and drug repurposing. Again, I'm going to highlight one of the CSIR institutes that received an award under the COVID-19 networks. This was the CSIR IGIB, Professor Rajesh Pandey, with a colleague in IUPUI in the US. And it's looking at high throughput, cost-effective sequencing platforms. And this project has been incredibly successful. They've developed a scalable system. Dr. Pandey's lab was the first of its kind mobile sequencing at the Delhi airport. And they've also been using this framework for studying the spread of the Delta variant. The second part of our portfolio is our endowment fund that looks at commercializing technologies for societal impact. So we go away from the pure research here to actually innovation and entrepreneurship. So this program supports joint applied R&D that generates public good through commercialization of technology, again involving partnerships between US and Indian entrepreneurs. UCSTF has a unique position in the startup ecosystem, and this is something that's very important to India. We're talking about innovation, entrepreneurship. We support collaborative projects that are synergistic, leverage expertise from both sides, are innovative, and leverage advances in science and technology. So everything we do has an S&T focus. We provide funds at a critical phase in the life cycle, so early TRL levels. And thus far, we've supported 54 joint projects, including 11 in the category of COVID ignition grants. Several of our projects have reached the market and others are under various stages of implementation. The priority areas over the last 10 years have been healthy individuals, a lot of low-cost diagnostics, and then empowering citizens, which looks at ways we reduce the digital divide, including IT and communication solutions, inclusion, and education. This is just a glimpse of the many projects we've supported: Braille accessibility, remediation technology for arsenic, hand crank defibrillators, and so on. And again, in response to the COVID crisis, we put out a call for early stage prototyping or repurposing of existing technologies to address COVID challenges, and we funded 11 awards in 2020. The endowment fund most recently in December announced a new call. So this is a call that's still open. Again, looking at one of the big challenges that's facing the entire globe and has special context in the area of US-India bilateral relationships. This is called Technology-Based Energy Solutions, Innovations for Net Zero. It looks at cutting-edge, disruptive, clean energy technologies to accelerate progress toward the 2050 net zero goals that were recently announced at COP26. We're again looking at early stage prototyping as well as projects that are a little more advanced. The goals of this program align with the US-India Strategic Clean Energy Partnership, one of the pillars that Prime Minister Modi and President Biden announced in April last year. Again, the objective here is to look at technology showstoppers in 3 areas of climate and clean energy: next generation clean and renewable, energy storage, and technologies for carbon sequestration. We are very happy that this is a public-private partnership. We are working with Social Alpha, a multi-stage venture development platform, and the deadline for proposals is March 15th. So that's one program that's ongoing. In terms of research and development, our portfolio has primarily focused on energy and water quality. So we are part of the Indo-US Joint Clean Energy Research and Development Centers. This is a partnership between the US Department of Energy and the Ministry of Science and Technology. IUSSTF is the secretariat for the program. And in the first round of JCRDC, there were projects in solar, second generation biofuels, and energy efficiency. And there were 2 large consortia that had CSIR members under the JCRDC runners-up. One was for advanced biojet fuel technology led by the CSR IIP. And the other one was on building energy efficiency. This is led by the CSIR CBRI in Roorkee. So again, we're really delighted to have a number of the CSIR institutions participating in many of our funding calls, and we hope to have more of them in the future. The other program under our research and development portfolio is another one on clean energy. This is a partnership between MNRE and the US Embassy. It's looking at innovative off-grid clean energy solutions. Again, we provide early stage funding, early TRLs that are typically not supported by most VCs and angel investors. And the goal of the program is to develop and test new products, models, systems that help to improve the viability of off-grid renewable energy businesses. And again, the program focuses on communities that are either underserved or don't have access to grid-connected power. We've done 2 calls of PaceSetter, and we hope soon we may have a 3rd call for the program. 9 projects under the first and 4 awarded under the 2nd call. Again, this just gives you a little highlight. This was a project with a private company, MS Ahuja, and one of the partners was the CSIR Indian Institute of Chemical Technology in Hyderabad. This was high-rate biomethanation of organic waste for power generation for off-grid applications. The team was delighted, and we were also really pleased that this particular award was recognized by the Honorable Prime Minister in one of the Mann Ki Baat programs. There's a link here. And this particular project looks at generation of off-grid power through high-rate biomethanation technology that generates biogas from organic waste, and they also have proper waste disposal and management. They started with a 5-ton capacity plant in looking at the Jawahar Nagar dump site, and then they leveraged additional funds from the Department of Biotechnology to a working of 10 TPD. And this particular technology has been implemented in the by the government of Telangana in the vegetable market at Bhavanpalli in Hyderabad. So again, what we do is catalyze. So we've provided early funding for the technology to be demonstrated, and now the team has been able to raise funds from other sources to really scale up. The last vertical in our portfolio is what we call visitation programs. Again, these are opportunities primarily for Indian PhD students, faculty members at various institutions to do collaborative research in US labs or US institutions. The programs do have specific requirements. We've had a program with DST for women in STEM, covering all areas of science and technology. We have a bunch of energy fellowships, and again, both PhD students and early career faculty can apply. Right now, and we have all of these visitation programs on hold, just waiting to see and hoping that the COVID situation improves to allow free travel between India and the United States. We also have the Khurana program for scholars. This primarily targets undergraduate students, so early career, very early on, to expose them to research. And then we have 2 collaborations, one with the American Physical Society and one with the American Society for Microbiology, that allows US faculty to come to India to collaborate and also to maybe offer short courses and teach. So these are programs that help bridge communities, build connections between US and Indian institutions by supporting individual PIs. So again, I'm happy to go into more detail on any of these programs if there are questions at the end of the session. So again, here's a snapshot of our portfolio, networks. We've funded over the history of IUSSTF over 400 workshops, 100 centers. Our endowment fund has supported over 50 entrepreneurial entities over the growth of over the 10-year program. This is our research and development portfolio. We have supported 28 R&D projects. And then with our Visitation Fellowships program, we've supported over 1,600 students over the last 20 years. In addition to the many programs we run, we see ourselves as playing a pivotal role in the larger US-India science and technology ecosystem. So what we do is identify areas that we call leading edge, that both countries see as high priority. We leverage our extensive networks in both countries to bring together those key stakeholders. We do that through these workshops and networking opportunities that allow us to initiate new collaborations. And we are also able to work with the entities in this graph, foundations, government agencies, academic institutions, industry and professional societies, to recommend priority areas for joint US-India R&D collaborations. And last but not the least, we are a catalyst to promote long-term collaborations at both the individual and institutional level between the two countries. One recent example is we launched a year and a half ago, but the activities are taking off now, the US-India Artificial Intelligence Partnership. So we're looking at focusing on AI cooperation in areas that are high priority for both countries. We're again looking to leverage the complementary strengths of our science and technology communities, engaging our large Indian diaspora in the US, and also investments by leading tech companies like Google, Amazon in India. This particular initiative is providing a platform for key stakeholders to look at opportunities for bilateral collaboration and what are the successful models for catalyzing partnerships. We've organized a series of roundtables over the past year on various aspects of AI, looking at issues around trustworthy AI, fairness, AI and mHealth, so mobile health. How do you use AI tools and technologies to leverage smartphones for either diagnosis or treatment? We're looking at broader health issues and issues of how new technologies can help bridge the divide that exists in terms of healthcare access. We're also looking at AI in agriculture, because that is, again, an important area for both countries. And finally, looking at workforce and capacity building. So how do we bring together our large S&T communities in this priority area to think about new programs, new opportunities for training the next generation? Because we know that AI is going to be a disruptive technology across the board, not just in healthcare, but in agriculture, energy, manufacturing, future manufacturing. So how do we build a workforce that is AI enabled to address some of these challenges that are coming along? So our AI initiative is sort of a multi-year activity. We are looking to involve as many stakeholders as possible to really understand the landscape and where collaboration hits that sweet spot and can really push the science and the implementation of AI technologies forward. So that's a new initiative we launched, and in the coming year, we're hoping to do something on climate and clean energy as well. So over 21 years, what we've done is help to sustain partnerships between our two communities. We have a stakeholder base of almost 600 institutions, and on both sides, over 5,000 scientists and academicians. We've partnered with a large number of constituents in the ecosystem, including agencies on both sides, national labs, industries, professional bodies, and industry associations to really find a way to catalyze collaborations and sustain partnerships within the S&T community. Again, I thank the organizers for inviting me to speak with you. I'm happy to take questions. I prefer having more of an interaction, and if there are specific questions about any of the programs I've talked about, I can go over that in more detail. So with that, I'm going to hand this back to the moderator for questions.
Thank you, ma'am, for a wonderful and enriching session. We would welcome a few questions from the participants. Please raise your hands in case of any queries, and we will be happy to take those questions. In case for our friends joining online, you can type in the questions in the YouTube or Facebook chat boxes, and we'll be happy to address them over here. I'm also checking the YouTube and Facebook chat boxes. There's a question, ma'am, from Arya Jyotidio, Mr. Arya Jyotidio. Hello, madam. What is the procedure to be part of the summit?
Which summit? You'll have to be specific.
Yeah. So Arya, you will need to be specific. You can type in again, and we'll get back. On Facebook, there are no comments as such till now.
I was hoping this would be more interactive because I feel I can't see anybody and it's easy.
That's the issue we are even now facing, trying to resolve it parallelly.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you so much, and really sorry for the inconvenience caused.
No worries. I don't mind talking. It's just it's easier if I'm interacting with people, then one can focus on what's most important. So if the questions people have, they can either write to you or write to us directly. We're happy to respond.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, we'll, in case of any queries, we'll write back to you. We once again thank you. And although there are many online viewers as well as many are there on this meeting as well. So in case of any queries, we'll write back to you. And thank you once again. And we would now invite the eminent speaker for the next session, Dr. Shri Rajachandran Madan, the Director of Indo-German Science and Technology Center. I will briefly introduce him. Shri Madan is primarily a CSR man. He joined IGSTC as the director in December 2020 after completing a splendid 3-year-long tenure as a science counselor at the Embassy of India, Berlin, where he ably facilitated, coordinated, and contributed to enhancing bilateral STI cooperation between India and Germany. Mr. Madan played a major role in connecting scientists and academicians of India and Germany in several areas, including clean energy, next generation batteries, high energy physics, marine robotics, biotechnology, molecular biology, space research, climate research, education, and sustainable studies. Mr. Madan was a scientist at CSIR NIO and headed its marine instrumentation department, where he contributed to the development of several marine robots, including autonomous underwater vehicles, remotely operated surface vehicles, and autonomous vertical profilers. I very warmly welcome Dr. Madan, and sir, the stage is all yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Mohit. Thank you, Rama. Very good afternoon to all my CSR colleagues. So nice to be back on the CSR platform. Okay, so let me start straight away by sharing my screen. Okay, Mohit, is my screen visible?
Yes, sir, it is visible, sir.
Okay, yeah, so good afternoon once again. This is Madan from the Indo-German Science and Technology Center. So the IGSTC is a joint initiative by the Government of India, Department of Science and Technology, and the Government of Germany, BMBF. That's the Ministry of Education and Research in Germany. And IGSTC promotes interaction between academia and industry in science and technology between both countries. So IGSTC actually started 11 years ago, relatively a new institute compared to the CEFIPRA and the Indo-US Center. But we've made some progress in these 11 years. So what I will do is quickly take you through our vision, mission, mandate, and then go to the programs directly. I think that's what everyone is looking for. So the reason I'm showing you this slide is the mission, vision, and mandate everything, if you look at, I think the key aspects where IGSTC focuses is industrial research. And that's the center around which everything else revolves. The fellowships, the knowledge pools which we create, and the bilateral workshops, everything is around industrial research. And when you're talking about industrial research with Germany, I would like to talk about a few programs, but let us all look at Fraunhofer in Germany. Fraunhofer is very similar to CSIR as in India. They are in an industrial research institute academy, and they have around 77 institutes under them. They are laboratories which work very closely with industry. And I think both the mandate for Fraunhofer and CSIR is very similar. So I would really suggest that all CSIR scientists who are interested in applied research and are looking at technology development, please do try and link up with Fraunhofer. It's really important. They do very good applied research. So let me go through the programs what IGSTC has to offer. Let me start with the first one. I think this is our flagship program. It's called the 2+2 projects. And this basically what does 2+2 mean? It means one Indian academic or research institute and one industry together with one German academic or research institute and one German industry together come as one consortium, one partner, one joint partner, and apply for a project. So you can have a minimum of 4 partners or maximum of 6. So you can have 2 academia or 2 research or 2 industry, but the maximum shouldn't exceed 6. So 2+2 projects, we have different thematic areas announced every year. And the tenure of the projects is 3 years, and we expect a starting TRL level of 3. So it should not be an invention, it should be coming towards an innovation. So, and the funding is quite good. So every year we have different thematic areas, and for the Indian side, it's 3.5 crores for the 3 years. This includes 1.5 crores for the industry. Now, this is very, very important to note. IGSTC is one of the few centers who gives grants to industry. It's not a loan. So if you get good industries to participate, they will be granted through IGSTC. Of course, they have to be DSIR recognized, which you will find in the details of our application. The German side, of course, gets an equivalent amount, a very good amount of funding, 450,000 euros, and they have their own side. So we basically fund the Indian side from IGSTC, and the German partner will be funded through our partner in Germany. So and then what do we do in 2+2? So I will give you some examples and what is going to be the call. What is the call for this year? So when we announce a call, we also help you to find partners. So many of you will wonder, how do we get a partner in Germany? So when we announce a 2+2 call, we have promotional workshops. So these workshops, you can attend these workshops if the thematic area is concerned to your lab. And then we also have something called a matchmaking process. It's called a B2 match platform, which we have, in which you can pitch yourself, you can pitch your idea. You might find a German industry or an Indian industry or a German academia liking your pitching, and they might try to contact you. So we do help in such activities where we help matchmaking and promote building partners for the 2+2 projects. So what happens after 2+2 projects? What happens at the end of 3 years? We fund up to 7 projects a year in this. And at the end of 3 years, we select 2 projects out of this as an extension phase. And we further fund them to a tune of 2.3 crores to take it from around TRL level 5 to above. So we expect that during the 2+2, you come to a TRL level 5 from 3, and then we take you again for another 2 years. So here again, the funding is good. As you see, it includes 1 crore for the industry. And here we expect to commercialize the product, or at least technology transfer it, so that the next step is commercialization. So this year, what is the call? The call is, it's called Waste to Wealth and Sustainable Packaging. So we have got 4 subtopics this year, and some of them very relevant for CSIR labs. One example I can straight away see is NIRI. One of them is SICRI, Karaikudi, CGCRI. So one of the first subtopic is electronic, industrial, domestic, and construction waste recycling. The second one is urban mining, landfill mining. The third one is secondary raw materials from waste. And the fourth one is eco-friendly or green packaging material designed for recycled circular economy around the packaging for extending its life cycle and usability. So these are 4 thematic areas this year under the main thematic area of waste to wealth and sustainable packaging. So this call is open and you can apply up to 15th of April. So you can, we have already had the promotional workshop. We will be having more B2 matchmaking platform events. So please do join. And this is a good opportunity for CSIR to interact with industry and come up with products. So if you see what we don't always fund 7 projects, depends on the quality of applications. So if you see from 2009, we have been funding 4 sometimes, 3 sometimes, a rare 7. And last year the call was additive manufacturing. This year it is waste to wealth and sustainable packaging. We didn't have a call in 2021 due to COVID. The processing of additive manufacturing took longer. We have got 6 projects under additive manufacturing, which are tentatively approved. The next important area where we fund is bilateral workshops, because one of the areas for creating teams or knowing the other side, the German side, is through workshops. And here we fund substantially. We fund up to 25 lakhs. Even this is approximately, it could be a little more or a little less, depending how you're managing the workshop. So basically, the workshops are to create platform for cross-fertilization of ideas, to establish joint knowledge pools, to address global challenges. We request you, if you are applying for a workshop, try and get industry partners. It is essential. Involve other institutions, so network. So the idea is to network, and then you actually try and get partners to apply for the 2+2 at a later stage. Or you even come up with ideas for where you can have thematic areas for 2+2. If we find a very interesting output of the workshop, we can take it up as a 2+2 call in the forthcoming years. So this is another important funding which we do, and we have funded quite a lot of workshops, more than 27. This year we have already demarcated 5 more. So these are good funding schemes. The other recently launched program is the IGSTC Industrial Fellowship. We launched this last year in 2021. And this is basically to motivate and facilitate young researchers towards applied research. So if you take a PhD student, this is open for them. If you take a postdoc, it's open for them. So basically, you can go to any German industry and spend 6 months to 1 year and get involved with applied research, because they have a lot of industries which do research. Come back to India, or you find your own path after that. So, and this is well funded. If you look at the PhD Industrial Exposure Fellowship, we fund up to 1,500 euros per month, in addition to the travel, visa, and medical insurance. And for the postdoctoral industrial fellowship, we fund up to 2,500 euros per month, plus the travel, visa, and medical insurance. For your information, the first year, we received numerous applications. 20 of them have been selected. And some of them have already left for Germany. Some will be leaving soon. So this is again has become a very in-demand fellowship. I request it's very suitable for CSIR, PhDs, and postdocs to get industrial exposure, and that too in a country like Germany. So this program is again 1st Feb to 31st March. It's open every year to apply. I'll request you to apply as quickly as possible. You'll have one question: how do I find my industry? Well, that we hope you're smart enough to find an industry, write to them, but we also help out. We have got some industries on our website, in the IGSTC website, who have shown keen interest to host Indian PhDs and postdocs, but this might be in very specific fields. If your field is there, you can write to them and tell them what you want to do with them. They might reply positively. If not, there are many German industries whom you can write to. You can follow steps what the present industrial fellowships and fellows did. The next program is women-centric. It's a program called Women Involvement in Science and Engineering Research. So the idea of this program is to facilitate lateral entry for women in ongoing S&T projects. Now, this is both ways. The industrial fellowship is only India to Germany, whereas the visor is both ways. A German woman working in Germany can come to India. Indian women can go to Germany. So what is the idea here is women, I think that there's still less participation in STEM. Maybe because of you're taking care of the household, the children, and also your profession. You might not be able to spend too much time in the other country if you have a joint project. So this is perfect for that. So if there's an ongoing project in Germany and you are working in a CSIR lab and you find it very relevant and you feel you could contribute there and it could also help your own lab, you could write to them. And if they say yes, you can join them. You work from India at your CSIR lab, but once every year, we fund you to go 1 month to that lab. You can interact with them, come back. So it's a 3-year period. And we also provide research money. So the fellowship is including the research money for you to hire one temporary project associate or project assistant or a JRF. So you can, it's up to 39 lakhs. So you can see how to distribute those funds. So this is again much in demand. We have already received 8 applications, out of which 4 are being processed. And this is open throughout the year. So there is no deadline. So women scientists are welcome to apply for this. You have to only see which is the area which you are working on, and if there's something similar in the German institutions. Well, there are 4 main German institutions you can look at. One is the Fraunhofer, which I told you first. Then you have the Leibniz institutions. There are around 60 to 70 of them. They are again basic and applied research. They are Helmholtz institutions. There are around 18 of them. They are working on larger projects, bigger infrastructure projects like high energy physics, like synchrotron facilities. Then you have the Max Planck fundamental research institutions. So you have a lot of scope. Look at those institutes. If you feel anyone is working on state-of-the-art areas where your institute is also taking a step and you feel you can contribute there and it can help India and your institute, this is a good funding scheme. So the next one is called PECFAR. It's PAD Early Career Fellowship in Applied Research. So this is something new, what we have started. So this basically means you pair up with a young German. You're an early career researcher. We are hopefully you're an early career researcher in India in a CSIR lab. You pair up with an early career researcher in Germany, and then you'll both connect. You go to Germany, spend 2 months in his lab, and from his lab, you go to other labs. So it's basically to give you an exposure of what's happening in Germany. Similarly, your partner coming from Germany to your lab, you can send him across to other labs. It gives him an exposure of what is happening in India in science and technology. This is an exposure fellowship, and we are hoping that this will also come up. A lot of applicants will be there for this, and it's again open. Applications are open from 1st Feb up to 31st March every year. And the fellowship is 2,300 per month, and plus your airfare and other charges, other visa and other charges. So here again, we'll try to help you to find young Germans, but I'm sure you can also write. And with today's age of social media and communication, definitely you can communicate and see if there are interest from the German side. Bring Germans here and you too go there. So the idea is to have two-way traffic here rather than just the Indians going to Germany. We are trying to pair them up so that there's a movement both ways. This is the last one which I want to talk about. It's called Small Immediate Need Grants. This again it's a little different. Now, most of our programs take maybe a little time to process. So you apply through a proper channel and you have application process and it goes through reviews. It takes some time. Whereas if you have an idea with a German institution or an industry or something to do with Germany and you want to do it quickly, then this thing is the one you look for. So we offer quick assistance to kick off ad hoc opportunities. It's a single window approach. You directly apply to IGSTC. It's within a turnaround time of I think 8 weeks. We will give you the funds. So we have already selected 2 projects this year, both from IIT Indore, and it has taken us around 6 to 7 weeks to finalize and tell them you're ready for funding. Here it is. So this support is small, but it can kickstart some ideas with Germany. So it's up to 10,000 euros. So it's around maybe 8 to 9 lakhs. If you have some immediate idea which you want to work out and take things ahead, This is the one. There are many other areas which you can apply for funds under this. Please look at our website. So there are many areas. It can be small projects or a technology demonstration or even a visit, exploratory visit of very specific type. So please look at the website. All the areas where you can use Sing is available. So these are few programs which we have at IGSTC, and they are limited, but I think very focused. And what I will do is very quickly run through achievements, because you also need to know what we are looking at in IGSTC after you do all this. So we're covering a lot of areas in advanced manufacturing, waste to wealth, smart cities. So the areas covered have been numerous in our 2+2 topics in the bilateral workshops. And what we focus is finally on technologies commercialized. So this is what we are looking at. And these are two examples. There are many. I've just quoted few, but I want to show you also that we encourage startup spin-offs and from these 2+2 projects. That's something we'd like to happen. And these have happened in the past, and I hope it will happen in the future. These are two important. This is an important outcome of us. It's from CSIR Lab, and we are very proud of it. CSIR CLRI. They have created a co-digestion of vegetable market waste and slaughterhouse waste using bioextruder as pre-treatment plant. This is a plant which with Germans they have created, and this is a working prototype plant which we now slowly plan to implement in an industrial area. So this is a big success story for us. We are going to fund CSIR CLRI further to take this up, possibly to a next level. We are very happy with this. So this is the sort of outcome we expect from the IGSTC programs. So these are other technologies which have been developed, but let me not be so this thing. And then we have networking workshops, and these are our overall achievements. These are all available on our website, so I don't want to get into the numbers. But if you see, we do run projects, but we also focus on connecting Indians and Germans together in science and industry projects. So these are some of the institutions and industries associated with IGSTC, and we have a fair spread in Germany and India. We hope to cover the white spaces, and that's the end. I think last slide of mine. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for this very enriching and enriching session. We would welcome a few questions, specific questions to this session from participants. Please raise your hands in case of any queries. And for our viewers joining us online, we request you please kindly message in the chat box, so we'll take them up. So, yeah. We have a few questions online. I will just browsing. So Ms. Bhavna George is saying, is biological research supported by IGSTC? Yeah, biological research is a very generic term. I'm sure she'll have something very specific, and if she's got a specific institute with whom she wants to partner under WISER and she has a project, she can specify that. We will look at it. We cover most of the aspects of STEM. So biological research is, of course, a part of STEM. Yes. So hope Ms. Bhavna, your query is addressed. And in case if there is any other specific query, you may please write back on the YouTube, and we will take that up again. I can see Siri Bausahib. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Bothre. Dr. Bothre.
Hello.
Yeah.
Dr. Mudan. I'm
Yes.
Bausahib. I'm principal scientist at Siri Pilani. It is Central Electronics Engineering Research Institute. I visited Germany, Hanover in 2009. And I learned if we want to have a collaboration with German industry or German university, we should learn German language. So how would you help us in that space? Do we need to learn German language, or basic knowledge of language is sufficient?
Yeah, so what I would say is what you heard is maybe not right. You don't need to. I spent 3 years as science counselor in Germany. I liked German, so I tried to learn a little German, but I didn't need German. So most of this, I'll say 99% of the science and technology labs, the industries, they know English very well, and I think you'll manage very well and the German scientists talk good English. So you will never have a problem with language with Germany.
One last quick small question. How to build trust and relationship? Because German people, unless and until we have a trust among us, they don't move ahead our project activities or any activity we would like to take with them.
Very good question. And this is what. So I think any partners, any consortium, you need trust. And I think there's no better definition of a German-Indian trust partner, because once they trust you, they are 50-50 partners. They will not take more than 50 from you. They will not give you more than 50. So they will expect that you are good in your subject. Only then they will consider you as a partner. But once they consider you as a partner, you will be a lifelong partner. That is guaranteed. And they will not even take 1% more or 1% less. They are very genuine partners, I should say, Germans. It is difficult initially to cut ice, but then once you do it, it's a lifelong partnership.
Yes. Is there any portal from IGSTC to have initial interaction with them?
Yeah, I told you about, see, there's no continuous portal. It costs a lot to have a continuous portal. So whenever we have calls, for the 2+2 calls, now we have a portal which is open. It's called B2 Match. You can register on that, and we'll be announcing the pitching sessions as and when we get participants. So you can look at our IGSTC website and definitely put in your ideas. Why don't you organize a workshop? You'll be able to connect much more. Let Siri Pilani organize a workshop with the German counterparts. Go ahead. I think that's a better way to network also. So both
Sure.
way. Yep.
Sure. I'll talk to our director, Dr. Panchara sir, and I'll inform you, sir.
Sure.
Thank you so much for your guidance and support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have another question in the chat box from IMINT. This is Dr. Uma Kanta. Can you please explain opportunities under DNA nanotechnology under IGSTC?
Well, I think this is now a very specific area. So what I said, we have an opportunity as WISER or an industrial fellowship or a PECFAR. Now, if you find a partner in similar area in Germany, you go ahead. So we only for 2+2 we identify thematic areas. Otherwise, the areas are open. So whether it's DNA or it's robotics or AI, you identify the area and we will not stop you. But for 2+2, we have thematic areas. Like we said, we are very specific because we have a very stringent review. They are large funded programs. So they are very specific thematic areas every year and they keep changing. And I can also tell you that next year it would be related to artificial intelligence.
Thank you, sir. We have another one in 2+2. This is from NIST, Akshay. This is in 2+2. It is quite difficult to find a relevant Indian private partner who is DSIR certified. You may please suggest on this, sir.
Yeah, I think this is a genuine problem. NIST Trivandrum already has a project, and I'm sure you all went through identifying a DSIR partner. Rather an industry partner who has DSIR certification, and it's not difficult to get a DSIR certification. Basically, what is DSIR certification? It tells you that the industry is a valid industry, has enough infrastructure for research. They do some research in the industry, so they have adequate facilities, and they are a genuine industry with good financial statements. So because the reason we depend on this is we grant institutes, it's not loans. So we have to be very careful that these are genuine industries and have enough capabilities. That's why we cannot deviate from this. How to find a DSIR? Yes, that is tricky. But if you're already working in applied research, you would be connected to many industries. And I think asking them to apply for DSIR, it takes around 2 to 3 months. So you should maybe tell them to apply. But unfortunately, we would not accept any application if it is not a DSIR certificate.
Thank you, sir. We will. We have another one from CFTRI. This is, are there specific guidelines on IP sharing in such collaborative efforts? It is decided between the participating institutes, or there is a predefined IP guidelines?
Well, we are very relaxed on this. So we leave it to the partners to decide. And there might be a case that a patent from the German side is taken up to a higher level together, or a patent from the Indian side is taken up to a higher level. But we leave it to the partners how they would decide. And from IGSTC side, we have very few guidelines on this, but they are not stringent. So we more leave it to the partners to decide how they want to take it ahead. Yeah. There's one more question I see.
Yes, sir. There's another one from CLRI.
Yes,
Yeah.
Malti. We are working on application of AI with GFT for medical domain. Could you suggest appropriate program for funding?
तो वो भी तो इसी से भेजेगा ना.
So
I request the other parts to please kindly mute themselves.
Mohit, there was some crosstalk. Can you please repeat the question?
तो दोबारा भेज देता हूँ.
There's someone.
आप गूगल अकाउंट बताओ ना.
Yes, sir. Who's this?
Can we request this our participants who are not speaking to kindly be on mute? Please keep your microphones on mute, please.
So the question is from CLRI, Dr.
Okay.
Marty. It's like we are working on applications of AI with GITA for medical domain.
Mm-hmm.
Could you suggest an appropriate program for funding?
Well, there are two or three. One is Visor. And if he wants to connect with industrial fellowship. And I would also suggest, because this looks like a very state of the art and important area, and definitely a potential area for a joint bilateral workshop, which could then come up with ideas for programs in the future. So all the three, other than Singh and PECFAR, I think I leave it to the early career researchers. But the three where you can strike deal is those, and the workshops definitely.
Thank you, sir. So
one more. I can see another question. I don't know.
I'm just checking our online platforms again in case if there are any. Drug discovery, yes. So Ms. Bhavna George is biological research supported by IGSTC in drug discovery, specifically for drug discovery.
So I think I answered this question, and we do support all areas of STEM.
Yes.
And because drug discovery again is something which maybe you want to do with the Max Planck Institute, or if it's with a pharma company, so you can use. See, the thing is, finally, if it's a sort of a project, you have to get sensitivity clearance from the Indian side. If you can get that, you can go ahead. So there's no issue, because all projects need sensitivity clearance. International projects need sensitivity clearance from the Indian side. So in that case, I think we don't have any limitation in areas, whether it's biology, physics, chemistry, but we would support applied research. And I think this, what you're talking about, has got good scope.
Thank you, sir. There are many more questions on the chats as well.
Okay.
Another one is by CSI of Pooja Devi. This is in Visor scheme grant for 39 lakhs.
Mm-hmm.
Includes the visit of German partners as well as fellowships, or this is separate? And another one is, how is the IP sharing managed in the industrial fellowships?
Okay, so I'll answer the first one. The Visor is it is individual application. So when an Indian woman applies for it, only she is entitled for the 1 month travel. But there have been questions from other applications asking whether we can get a German to travel to India. We are looking into it. Maybe we will try to include that in the future, but it's not there as of now. But I would advise if the German side wants to visit India, let them apply for Visor to us. And they can come once every year for a month. They let them also apply. They are free, because this is both can apply, Indians and Germans. So if the German side is interested, I think the women from German side should apply. And also Visor there's no need that the project you are connected with has a woman project leader, or you're connecting with a woman. You can connect to anyone, any gender, but the application is only from women. The other one is IGSTC Industrial Fellowship, how IP sharing is done. I'm not very clear what IP sharing is this thing related here, because here you're going to an industry. It's more of an internship and a training. If there is some IP there, I think the German industry will hold the rights. that they are very clear about it because you are working in the German industrial setup. Unless you go with an idea from here, then it is different. You have to inform them right at the beginning, this is my idea, and then they will take it up in a different way. Otherwise, usually it's German. If you are working there, it is there. They will consider it their IP.
Thank you, sir. We have one last question, and the rest of the questions we can take up at the end and during the interaction session. This last question is from MTech, Dr. Anshu. What about applications to international foundations? What is the approval process? Yeah, that is a question, but I guess this is not specific to.
Yeah, this I don't know whether I talked about any international foundation. Maybe it was Nandini. Maybe I'm not sure. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. There's one from CSMCRI.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
working on API synthesis. Could you please suggest some exchange training program of Indian scientists? And definitely look at the industrial fellowship. Look at also Wiser. Wiser if you're a lady. Others, you can look at industrial fellowship or connect with a young researcher in Germany. So yes.
Thank you, sir. And we'll take up all the further questions and the specific questions on international foundations in the discussion and interaction session. I thank you, sir, once again for this very interactive and interesting session. We would now move on to our next eminent speaker, the fourth session.
Thank you.
Our last session today, Mr. Sridevi Jyoti Kumar, the Chief Executive Officer of the Global Innovation and Technology Alliance, GITA. Dr. Kumar leads GITA and coordinates industrial collaboration programs on behalf of various funding ministries of Government of India with multiple countries and other technology acquisition and development national level programs. He's an engineer with over 27 years of experience in diverse fields such as engineering, information technology, AIDC technologies, renewable energy, project consultancy, project execution, management, and development of technologies for societal benefits such as waste to energy, value-added products from bamboo, etc. Before taking over as the CEO of GITA, Mr. Kumar was with CII, Confederation of Indian Industries, in various capacities as Director in Technology and IPR, Director and Head of CII Andhra Pradesh, and Director and Head of Andhra Pradesh Technology Development and Promotion Center. We welcome you, sir, and the floor is all yours. Thank you.
Mohit, can you please mute others? If you are hosting the meeting, you can mute all others. There is a continuous noise in the background.
Thank you, Dr. Monica, for pointing out. Our IT team is working on it, and we'll mute others. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Mohit Anand. First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Bansal for giving this opportunity. It's a great pleasure for us to interact with so many scientists from across the country. Yeah, I would like to share the presentation with on the. Yeah, are you able to see it in the slideshow mode?
Yes, sir, we are able to see the slideshow mode. Thank you.
Yeah, good afternoon to everyone. I'm from Global Innovation and Technology Alliance. I'm the CEO of GITA. And it's a not-for-profit Section 8 company that has been promoted jointly by the Government of India through the Department of Science and Technology through the TDB and Confederation of Indian Industry. So CII holds 51% equity in GITA and Government of India owns 49%. So, the genesis of GITA, it was felt that the investment by the industry in R&D is very poor, and therefore the government and CII, they felt that they should start a center which will help in working with the industries, trying to reach out, encourage them to, invest more in R&D. And that was the idea, and it took shape in the year 2011, in November 26th. So as I mentioned, GITA is a Section 8 company where 51% shares are held by industry, who are basically members of CII. So we have very, very eminent industries who have invested in GITA, like you have Toyota Kirloskar, you have Infosys, you have Tata Chemicals, Godrej. So the best companies from the Indian industry have invested. And till last year, it was Mr. Vikram Kirloskar who was the chairman. And this now it is Mr. Deep Kapuria who is the chairman of GITA. We also have directors on the board of GITA from the government. We have Mr. Patak. He is the co-chairman of GITA and he is the secretary of TDB. Mr. Vishwadit Sahai, he is the additional secretary and financial advisor of DST, and Mr. Varshne, he is the head of the international cooperation. There are two more nominations that are awaited because of recent resignations and transfers of the officials. We have a nominee from DPIIT as well as the MSME. Now, as I mentioned, GITA was established with as an arm's length organization of the government of India to help in building the innovation ecosystem by supporting and enabling technology and innovation driven enterprises. So, the four verticals, if you look at it, is the funding. Basically, the government funds that are available are managed by GITA and extended to the industry, particularly for promoting R&D. There is a program where we are also supporting institutes, but primarily it is the industry which is the focus. But institutes also join. Every project can have institutes also as partners. And other areas are capacity building, strengthening the ecosystem. So primarily it is focused at building the innovation ecosystem of the country. Now, if you look at the program portfolio, we broadly have, I would say, two different programs. One, the bilateral programs, which is the main area that we are working. Right now, we have 8 countries, Canada, Finland, Israel, Italy. We have 8 countries, and very recently, last month, Singapore also has got added. We are ready to launch a call, but we have 9 countries that way. And we also have a scientist exchange program with Taiwan. These are the bilateral programs which are primarily focusing on R&D. And we also have been working on national programs with DRDO, with DPIIT, MSME, and also the Department of Heavy Industries. The programs have concluded, and now we are going to revive the program with DRDO very soon, wherein we will be managing the TDF program. And TDF program also now would be including bilateral projects. So besides the national projects, they would also be supporting bilateral projects. And to start with, they would be supporting projects in collaboration with Israel, and more countries would follow. And there is a platform that we have developed which is called as Global Innovation Exchange, which where companies or anyone interested in taking advantage of the programs that we are managing can submit their expression of interest, the area they are interested in, the project details, etc., and then we take it forward from there. Now, in the bilateral programs, we are working in partnership with several agencies, like we have the NRC from Canada, we have KIAT, KETEP, and NRF from Korea, South Korea, Vinnova from Sweden. Like that, we have an Israel Innovation Authority from Israel. So we are working with, these are primarily our counterparts who manage the bilateral program in that country, while we manage the program in the in India, they manage the program. So basically the coordination with the industry, the institutes, in India are done by us, and likewise the partner body who are in the other country coordinate for the industries and institutes in that country. If you look at the sectors of engagement over the years, while GITA has been founded in the year 2011, it's a decade now since we are in, GITA has come into existence. The initial years were more preparatory and formative. So the projects have actually started from 2015 onwards. So in a matter of about 5 to 6 years, we have actually covered almost all the sectors. So the portfolio is very, very diverse, and for every call, every program, whenever a call is launched, the two countries mutually decide which areas to focus on. So I just shared some sectors. Now, what do we do in the bilateral programs? Particularly, I'm focusing on bilateral programs because national program, the only difference is that you don't have an international partner. Otherwise, the model is very similar. So we launch what is called as a call for proposal or request for proposal, where the guidelines are finalized in consultation with the government, the respective funding ministry, and the dates are decided, launch date as well as closure, the application form, etc. Once that is finalized, the call is announced, and then we start reaching out. I'll show more detailed, steps that are involved. And then after the closure, we have applications that would have been submitted by companies, and these are evaluated. Then begins the evaluation of the applications that are submitted, and then there is a process, a very transparent and multi-level process of evaluation and selection of companies for funding, and those which are the projects which are selected are then we sign agreements with them, and then they start implementing. Now, if you look at the projects that we generally look at, we are supporting projects which are usually in the bandwidth in the TRL range of 5 to 7, because the idea is to introduce technologies, products, solutions that are ready for commercialization, and therefore we take models that are which have passed the concept stage and are ready for industrial implementation. And as I said, generally the criteria is that most of the projects are led by the industry, and they would partner with academic or R&D institutes, and usually the project duration is for 24 months, and in the criteria we aim for projects which have better chances of commercialization and which would benefit the country, which would help the Indian economy. So these I have already spoken about briefly. Now, what is the model of funding? Now, there is on the left-hand side, you have the Indian industry partnering with an academic or an R&D institution, and they would contribute. If you look at the overall project, which is a joint project application submitted jointly by an Indian partner and let us say, Canadian partner, meaning another partner from the other country, together they need to submit. Now, if the overall cost of project development is 100, 50% of it would be from the Indian side and 50% from the partner country side. Now, out of this 50% of the cost from the Indian side, 50% of that is 25%, is given as reimbursement to the industry. In the case of institute, it is 100%. The total cost is given to the institute, whereas for the industry it is only 50%. So they need to invest 100% of whatever is their scope, and out of that 50% is reimbursed back to them. So this is broadly the model, and primarily these are led by the Indian industries. Now the typical process flow, as I mentioned, it starts with preparation, and then once the documents, the guidelines, everything are ready, then we launch the call, and then there is a period, I'll show the timeline also, wherein we promote the RFP and we encourage applications. We do webinars, we do roadshows, we even take missions inbound as well as outbound, which are all part of the partnership development activities and promotion. And particularly in the bilateral program, many times the companies, they don't have a partner. They have an idea, they have a project that they want to work on, but they may not be having a partner. So we also help in matchmaking and getting them partners. And once that is done, the applications are submitted, and then we ensure that the applications are complete, which is the initial screening, and then we engage experts, external experts, who are subject experts depending on the project that is being proposed, and we also have a financial expert. So like that, we have an expert, technical as well as a financial expert on the Indian side, and likewise on the a technical and financial expert is also engaged by the partner country for evaluating the application in that country. And then once the applications are evaluated, even due diligence is done, on-site due diligence to verify that everything is fine. And then jointly the applications are evaluated and then selected. And once they are selected, we sign the agreement with them, and then the release of funds happens. And as per the milestones agreed, the projects are reviewed and till the closure of the project. And the mode of funding is now a pure grant. Under Israel, it is still a conditional grant, wherein the company will have to repay the amount that is funded, not the institute, but only the industry. Now, if you look at the timeline, usually it takes about 30 to 36 months for the complete project, right for the cycle to get completed. If you look at one project, there could be plus and minus, but usually the launch takes about 4 to 5 months, and evaluation selection another 3 to 5 months, and then the project development, that is where that is the most important part of this, which takes about 24 months. Now there are several bilateral programs, as I mentioned. If I just listed 8 here. Taiwan is a scientist exchange program, and then Singapore, we have not yet launched the call. We are finalizing the guidelines and other documents, and then we'll be able to even share that information. But if you look at the programs that we are managing right now, generally it is about 1.5 crores. That is the support that is given, or 50%, whichever is on the lower side, but not more than 1.5 crores. And then in the Israel program, the funding goes up to 8 crores. And in Sweden, there are 2 different programs. One is for the smart grid, and then where we have a lump sum amount. So it can go even more than 7-8 crores. But the total amount allocated is about 18 crores per year and per call, and the projects can be selected. So a matching amount is also contributed by the partner country for supporting the project proponent from their country. Now, overall, if you look at it, we have, there is a very snapshot view of the projects that we have done. There is, we need to update this. Some more projects that got added, but there are several calls. Close to 50 calls have been launched till now. If you look at the number of projects overall, we have 130 projects. Now it is close to 150 projects that are being supported, and some are completed. Now this has attracted an investment of around close to 450 crores overall, out of which the contribution by the government is close to 200 crores, and the industry is around 300 crores. Out of these projects, about 40 projects have already completed the technical development phase, and 12 of them have already got into the commercialization stage, and 17 would be getting into the commercialization stage. Now, usually we give a cooling period of about 6 months to 2 years for the projects to get into the commercialization mode. So these 17 projects would be taking another 6 to another year or two to get into the commercialization mode. So this, as I mentioned, the projects have actually started from around 2015. Now many projects are getting closed, so this figure will dramatically increase in the coming years. If you look at our footprint, we are spread across the country. We have covered almost every state in the country except for a few. And largely, majority of the projects are usually, from the mega cities. But we also have projects that are being supported from the smaller towns and cities also. As I already mentioned, 130 projects, about 130, close to 150 now have been supported. I think this I have already covered. So many have also got into the patent, many have also filed patents, and over 500 jobs have also been created. So this is about the activities that we are managing. So over to you, Dr. Maridanand, Dr. Bansal, yes.
Thank you, sir, for very enriching and very thoughtful session. We learned a lot about the GITA and the programs being coordinated. We would welcome a few questions from the participants. I would again request to please raise your hands in case of any queries. And you can also type in the questions in the chat box. We will pick them up from there. And for our participants joining online, you can type in over there. We will try to pick them up from there and address them. I'm just checking online on our YouTube. Yes. So there is a question from Ms. Bhavna George. How many projects are funded? This is on YouTube. How many projects are funded per call on an average?
Yeah, we have every country we launch at least one call in a year. Israel and Korea, we launched 2 calls. So, and for each call, we support about 3 projects. So if you look at it overall in a year, we have close to 30 plus projects that can be supported. And now Singapore is getting added. In some countries, we have more projects can be supported. So yes, in a year, I would say that around 30 to 40 projects can be supported each year. And this is now the present status. As I mentioned, because we started these programs mostly around 2015, they are getting added. Now we are in this stage where we can support around 40 projects.
Thank you, sir. We have another one in the chat box. This is from Dr. Giridhar, NAL. Can we propose the individual projects or organizational requirements?
Yeah.
Is there any age limit for scientists for these project funding?
No. There is no age limit. There is no age limit for the scientist programs. And it is not individual based, it is an institution based. So either an industry applies, usually most of the bilateral programs are industry led with a partner from an institute. As I mentioned, we have several institutes that are already partners in the programs. And in the scientist exchange program, it is an institute which would be. An institute would propose the name of the scientist. So we have what is called as a principal investigator. So, but it is not proposed by an individual.
Thank you, sir. We have, in case of any queries, you may please raise your hands and
One, I can understand that, because here we have mostly the institutes, the CSIR labs, therefore they are not, you cannot call them as industry. They are more research labs, but you would be working with many industries, and in case you would like to, take advantage of this, as I mentioned, the funding support to the institute is 100%. The institute gets 100% and there is nothing like a repayment, but it is only applicable for the industry where only 50% is supported, given to the industry, and they need to repay if it is a conditional grant. So you can actually, work along with institutes, industries, and the idea is that, it would help in commercialization of products. When you are engaging with, working with industries, it would actually help the Indian economy by actually getting, developing projects that can be commercialized. So, yeah, there is a direct route if it is the scientist exchange program, but yes, there is an indirect route if you are, which has a larger scope and opportunity, which you can also explore. And anyone who would like to get in touch with us, I would really welcome. You can please contact me directly, or you can take the my contact detail from Dr. Bansal or Mr. Mohitan. If you want, I can give my contact details here in the chat box if it is permitted.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. And in case of any queries from our CSI colleagues or online as well, we'll be happy to connect them, and you can type in your contacts here. We have another one, I guess, Dr. Naveen NL Bangalore. You have typed in your name. If you would like to say something, you can please unmute and say or ask a query. Yeah. It says, sir, interdisciplinary projects are possible. This is a query from Dr. Naveen.
Yes, it is more, focused on products that can be commercialized. So obviously there can be interdisciplinary projects. A solution, a technology may need, multiple disciplines to work together. So that is not a restriction at all.
Thank you, sir. We have another query from CDRI, Dr. Vivek Bhosle. Do you fund clinical trials? Have you funded it in the past, and what are the chances of success?
No, we have not. As I have mentioned, it is only during the TRL between 5 to 7 that we support, which is basically technology development. Clinical trials are beyond that. So it has to be, if it is part of the project, we are fine with that. It can be funded, but it should be part of a project that is being developed, not specifically and only clinical trials.
Thank you, sir. We have Dr. Rama.
Thank you, Mohit. I would just like to join you in thanking Mr. Jyoti Kumar for this wonderful presentation, insightful information, really enriching, and we are very confident of the fact that CSR, as you know, is the group of industrial research institutes. And I feel that we can actually connect with the industry and should be able to optimally utilize the programs of GITA, which are developed with so many developed countries. And each one of them have their own expertise, and we can really gain from these programs. Also support the Indian industry in the process. The very reason that we have you make this presentation is definitely this. I wanted to make 2 specific requests. One was I wanted to understand how many CSR scientists, how many CSR institutes are currently applying in various programs of GITA? I know you may not have this answer immediately because one has to look into the database.
Yes.
So, and what is the success rate? If we can also know the where the proposals are lacking, so that we can, tell our scientists how to prepare the proposals appropriately.
Absolutely. Definitely, Dr. Bansal. As you rightly guessed, I cannot immediately tell you because I'll have to get it, see the details. Definitely, there are many labs with whom we are working, even reputed institutes, even the educational institutes like IITs are also partner here. Midani, for example, it's an industry, but they are also into, even public sector companies who are also into R&D are also partnering. So I'll definitely share that. And regarding, how the proposals can be improved, I think if there is any proposal, any idea, then, you can get in touch with us. Then on a case-to-case basis, we can actually help in, working together in hand-holding, guiding, even maybe identifying industries. Maybe because we are working with many industries, though the number of projects are, because of the limitation in the number of projects that can be supported, you don't see a very huge number, but the number of companies with whom we are working with is very huge, who are interested. We have a few thousand companies who are very keen. So, so we can actually help in reaching out if any of the CSIR labs are interested in working with a particular, any industry. If you're looking for industry partners, let us say, you can approach us. We will try and help in, identifying those partners. And then together you can apply for the program.
Yes, thank you so much.
When a CSIR lab is there, it is again government funding. The confidence is very high.
Absolutely.
The chances are very bright for the project to get selected.
Thank you so much. And the second request I have is, you are now coordinating programs with so many countries. You just mentioned the number is now 9. It is sometimes difficult to keep a track on those calls for proposals that are announced from time to time. Is it possible that we receive a call from you and we give it a very wide dissemination within the CSR scientific?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely possible.
We will also put it on our Prabhas portal, which connects us with the Indian S&T diaspora settled abroad. So at the same time, we can have different partners.
We would love. This is actually very good because you are also helping us in reaching out. So definitely, if you suggest with whom I can coordinate or my team can coordinate to pass on that information as and when any, like recently we have launched the call, the 9th call for proposal with Israel. So, it is open now, and applications can be submitted till 9th of June. It closes on 9th of June. So we still have time, just launched. So we still have time. So if you let us know with whom, we can be in touch to pass on this information, coordinate, then, we will be able to do, more than happy to do that.
You can pass on this information to me or to Dr. Mohit. It is one and the same thing. Anybody in the division is as good. And currently also we are trying to publish these calls, but we do it by our own initiatives. We keep searching, we keep looking at the websites, but there are opportunities and there are possibilities that we may miss such calls. So just to ensure that we are able to capture all the calls and send them across to all the scientists of CSIR.
We'll get in touch with Dr. Mohit. We'll share the information, and regularly we'll be in touch with him whenever any call is getting launched.
Thank you so much.
With pleasure.
Thank you, sir. We had one more question on the YouTube. I guess the question has been deleted. Another question on chats. No. So with this, there are no more questions. We can have an open. We thank you, Dr. Kumar, for this very enriching and interactive session and answering to our colleagues' queries. We now open the floor for open interaction and discussion session. I would request our participants, if they have any queries related to international collaboration opportunities or any query, you can please raise your hands, speak directly. and we will be happy to answer them, address them. So in case if there are any queries related to international collaborations, we'll be happy to take them. Related to this session or to previous sessions? I know there was a query in between from NAL, Dr. Vishal. His query was if working on any national program, is this scheme applicable? This was for IGSTC during the IGST's presentation. If Dr. Vishal, if you would like to say something related to this, you are most than welcome. We can take yours after series. Dr. Botre's question. Dr. Botre, please.
Thank you, Dr. Mohit, for allowing me to question this on this platform. I have one question. This is very wonderful session. I observed and I learned many things from this session. I have one thing to express on this platform. If we could have some platform wherein all information can reach the scientist, it would be very helpful for us. It would be we can contribute from our side genuinely, but the information reaching to us is a bit challenge, and guidance, as Rama ma'am rightly said, we need guidance to formulate the project proposal in a timely manner. Most of the times what happens, we receive information 1 or 2 days before, and it becomes very difficult to formulate the project proposal, identify the partner. So if we could get information on right time, then we will be in a position to identify right partner, industry partner from Indian side, as well as we can also identify the international partner in a given time. So this is the submission from my side. If we have some group or portal from CSIR under CSR umbrella, it will be helpful for all scientist community.
Thank you.
May I answer? If yes, it is from our side, yeah, one very short way by which we can communicate is if we know whom, or if someone can share the list of contacts from your labs to whom we need to communicate, we can directly send the communication, because anyway we are sending to various industries and various institutes that we know. Now, if there are any scientists left out, like you mentioned, probably you're not getting it in time. So if we have the details of the people to whom we have to directly share, we can as well share the communication every time we launch a call to all of you, and as soon as it is launched. And sir, definitely, definitely, as Dr. Bansal mentioned, I would also share the information with Dr. Mohit Anand, and I'm sure you will be able to access that information on the CSR platform. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I would like to just add on, Dr. Botre. Now we are trying to publish all of these calls on our CSR website, and all the calls are published by bilateral centers as well as GITA. We are publishing on Prabhas. Prabhas is Pravasi Bharati Academic and Scientific Sampark. So calls are being published over there, but for your benefits and other people who joined over here, we will assimilate the email IDs over here, and we are thankful to Dr. Jyoti Kumar. We'll share these email IDs with you, sir, and so that all people who are interested over here, they can also get this information, and we will also pass it on to our CSI colleagues. Dr. Botre, if you would like to add on something.
Yes, my submission is that this is very nice platform that you'd be publishing on various platforms so as scientists can get the information on time. It is really good, and we need some mentorship, some mentor from those who have already got the projects, and they can mentor who are new in this segment, so as they can formulate the proposal and they can get it executed in a proper channel. So if we could get mentors from CSR and umbrella or from the funding agency, that would be very helpful for us.
Here again, as I mentioned, GITA, it is part of our job to handhold, help the industries or institutes not only find partners, but also in filling up the application to ensure that everything is in order. So we do that. So you can rest assured from GITA side, yes, we give that support.
Thank you, sir.
We are very
Thank
happy
you
to
so much,
have
sir.
Dr. Kannan back with us. So, Dr. Kannan, will this also be possible to do from the Indo-US S&T Forum?
In terms of handholding, we don't have as large a group, but we're always happy to answer questions from PIs. And we do share every funding opportunity with all the CSIR labs. We try to send it out to the directors. But I understand, sometimes information doesn't flow down always. So if people are interested, please just drop us an email. We'll add you to our mailing list. So we have fairly comprehensive mailing lists where we share any funding opportunities. So feel free to email us and we'll add you to the list. And if you have specific questions about a program or what makes a successful proposal, I know, definitely I will be happy to answer, or some of my program officers will be happy to provide you sort of what the reviewers look for when they look at proposals, what needs to be there, what's critical. Those are things we're happy to, and we try to put up FAQs on the website as much as possible.
I think now we have the full house, and maybe if any of our participants has any question to Dr. Kannan, which couldn't be asked that time when she made the presentation. Most of us know about the Indo-US Forum. So if you have any query at this stage, you can please ask it now.
Ma'am, we also have some queries on the chat box. This is a generic query, if I may take that. This is when a project gets, this is from IMTech, Dr. Anshu. She's saying when a project gets rejected, detailed comments on reasons for rejection will help us improve. So if that could be addressed. Dr. Jyoti or Dr. Nandini.
Yes. In fact, if a project is rejected, when we communicate to the company or the whichever project is rejected, and we also give them the reasons. And definitely we would encourage them to apply next time by making the corrections. So yes, we do that. We give that support.
Yeah, we also provide feedback. It may not be always very detailed, but you can always reach out to the program officer handling a particular program in terms of improving the proposal for a next round, or sometimes it's a question of eligibility criteria. They don't satisfy the eligibility criteria, so maybe they need to figure out they need a small industry to be part of the proposal. So those kinds of things are easy in terms of feedback, but also technical comments from the review committee, from the panels, is something we can share, at least excerpted. Not attributed, but yeah, we're happy to give you.
Dr. Lalita from the Indo-German Center, are you around? Could you also please join in this discussion?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
I am here.
So could you respond to this query also?
Yes. IGSTC normally do not intimate in writing the comments, but we are always open to read out the critical comments to the, if it is what you say, positive comments in terms of improving the proposal or improving the quality of the partnership, we usually verbally spell it out. The reason for not giving in writing, sometimes the applicants may not be happy to hear that the novelty of the proposal is not as per expectation. So then they may come back and ask, what do you mean by novelty? So, and also we do not want to put our committee members in any problem because these are a bit confidential reviews, but we make sure that constructive criticism with a view to, with an intention to improve the proposal or partnership, we will pass it on verbally to the applicants when asked.
Thank you, ma'am. We have another question. This is industrial partners is to be mentioned in the proposal or can be identified at a later stage. This is from VN, Dr. VN.
Is Dr. it for IGSTC? Is it for IGSTC? Okay.
Open question.
No, for IGSTC programs, yes, industry partners should be mentioned because it is very important for the committee members to look at the partnership and quality of or the what do you say, the role of individual partners and even the industry work packages and how they are, whether they are there is sufficient expertise or infrastructure facility within the industry. So it is very important. Without putting the industry's name and the profile, brief profile, the project, the application will get rejected.
So this will essentially depend on the need of the individual program.
Exactly.
For GITA, you cannot apply if you do not have an industry. In fact, industry only drives the programs, right?
Yes, absolutely. It depends on the program. If it is an industry-led program like the scientist exchange program, there is no need to mention any industry. But if it is a industry-led program, definitely the industry will have to be there. And even the consortium agreement needs to be in place, before submission of the application.
Thank you, ma'am and sir. We have a question from Dr. Prabha, SERC, for Dr. Lalita. Dr. Prabha, please unmute yourself and.
Yes, sir. Good evening to all of you. And ma'am, this is to you, ma'am, Lalita, ma'am. I applied for a VISER program recently, and I contacted. It's a women program, and I contacted around 10 people regarding the project proposal. I asked for a objective from them so that I can contribute to that program. But till now, I didn't get any response from those people, ma'am. In that case, what we can do?
I do not know how to answer to that. In fact, it is the responsibility of the applicant, the woman fellow, to find out a suitable host institution in Germany for applying to VISER. So like the way we apply for postdoctoral fellowships abroad, sometimes you may have to approach more people and you'll have to look through literature where your interest is matching well with any other laboratory or the scientist. You may have to go ahead that way. Unfortunately, we do not have a matchmaking platform for VISER, but in future probably we may think of designing one for VISER also.
Okay, ma'am, but I made all the homework. I found who are working in my area, and I found the running projects also, so they can contribute to that. But after all the homeworks, everything, I'm finding people difficult to get those.
I hope you will find someone soon.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Prabha, I would like to add on to that, ma'am, if I may be.
Yes.
Through Prabhas, you can connect with the Indian diaspora through the Prabhas portal. They are very eager to connect and discuss further. So through the Prabhas portal itself, our Indian diaspora can be connected. There's a connect button and you can write to them directly through the portal. And then
can you tell the portal?
I will just mention that in the chat box over here. You can register over there as an Indian expert and you will have access. It has around 6,000 diaspora, a database of 6,000 odd number of diaspora, and around 450 have already registered for societal benefits. You can connect with them, our Indian diaspora in different countries, and they'll be very happy to discuss further. We have another question from CRRI, Dr. Navneet Kaur. In CSI, this is in CSI system, it is informed that we cannot choose the private industry as at our own level. We have to choose via expression of interest. What is the exact way of doing industry collaboration projects in CSIR? Dr. Rama.
I really don't know if scientists are not allowed to identify the industry themselves, but I always feel that they should be able to identify the industry and discuss with the business development group and take it up with them. I think Anuradha, who has the experience from the business development, can comment on this better. Dr. Anuradha?
Yes, I'm just. As far as my experience goes, I have not faced that when I was at NML. There was full freedom for the scientists to interact and collaborate with any industry.
Yes.
So I would really like to understand what kind of problem this particular scientist is facing. So,
Ma'am, can I add here? Actually, this is Navita from CSIR CRRI. We were actually asked to float some projects, specifically CSIR funded projects like FBR, FTT projects. So there in the format, it was specifically mentioned that you write the name of the industry. But before that, I'm already doing one project which requires industry collaboration. But then in the same the procedure, I was not allowed to choose the industry at my own level because it was told that there are no rules in CSIR system that we can choose the industry at our own level. We have to go via the expression of interest, and it almost took 1 year for me to go through that process and finalize the industry. Now in future, if there are rules like now if I further want to collaborate with in the similar industry area but some other industry, then again I'm not allowed to choose the industry on my own level. I mean, again, it is now told that I cannot choose myself. I have to go via expression of interest and ask all the industries to participate and then choose one of them.
I have
specifically for the private industry.
These industries are national level or international level?
A national level, private firms.
Yeah, industry would be private.
Yes, ma'am.
I think we'll have to take it up. In fact, national levels we do not deal with here at ISTAD. If you want, you could take it up with the TMD division here at the headquarters. I think they would be able to help you out in this.
So please write a mail to the head of the TMD, Dr. Vibha. She will attend to it immediately.
Okay, okay, ma'am. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Kannan, your hand is raised. You'd like to say something, ma'am?
I was responding. I think I was trying to respond to an earlier question from someone looking for collaborators for the Indo-German, the women's program. So one sort of general recommendation I have for people looking for funding is, I've seen funding in 2 different countries now. It is difficult, it's hard to find a collaborator, it's hard to find a host institution. And, this idea of connecting to the diaspora is fantastic. I think that's a lovely opportunity. But something that, individual PIs can do is also start networking early. So this is something I believe in very strongly. When you get into a lab or even an academic institution, and you have your PhD, at that time you have a small network of your PhD advisor and maybe your fellow postdocs, but you have to build additional networks as you move. So going to conferences is a great way to develop that network, because if you meet someone at a conference and you're presenting a talk, they're more likely to see your work and know what you're doing, and then it's easier to develop the contacts. So I think mentorship and building networks is critical if you want to apply for a lot of these funding opportunities. And that's something that, the bilaterals can certainly help with. But I think also institutionalizing that within the CSIR system or within, the Indian S&T ecosystem is important. Is getting that opportunity to go, outside and make a presentation at an international conference will give you so much more cachet than anything else. You build that network, and then you have, a whole group of institutions you can collaborate with. So this is just general advice for people starting out. It's a good place to start building your network.
I request you to give this recommendation in writing so that we can put it up to our finance.
Happy to do that. In fact, we've been talking about doing a networking program, not just for women, but for junior faculty, right? If you're coming, yeah. Thank
you so much for this suggestion.
Thank you, ma'am. We have another one from Dr. Aradhana Mishra. She says can we join any collaborator on the basis of work and publication, sharing without project fund? And she is adding on to that, and I sent processed herbal formulation to another collaborator from foreign country. I do not understand this question, Dr. Aradhana. If you could kindly speak out, unmute yourself, and probably it will be addressed. Dr. Radhna. So the first question, can we join any collaborator? Can we join any collaborator on the basis of work and publication sharing without project fund?
She probably means, Mohit, that there would be no money transaction, financial transaction. It would just be an academic collaboration. So is that allowed or not? This
That
is
must
what
be
I
towards
understand.
CSIR. Probably that is towards REMA.
It's an internal, yes. Any herbal formulation, it depends what material you are sending. And there may be some background clearances required for this purpose. So we'll have to refer it to the headquarters and we'll guide you on this.
I am just checking the online platforms if we have some more queries over there.
I think it will depend on the guidelines of the particular country also, because material transfer definitely depends different guidelines from the different countries basically.
So if you want to export it, any material, we need to have required clearances, including from the political angle.
Thank you, ma'am. So
Have any further questions?
as of now, no, but we will be sharing these presentations. These presentations and interactions with all our CSIR colleagues and users for the benefits. And in case if there are any questions, we will be happy to compile them and share with our eminent speakers over here or try to address them. And for our users online, you can also write to us or through the chat boxes. We can try to address them or pass on to the respective speakers for their addressal. We regret the inconvenience at the beginning due to the links to Dr. Nandini and to Dr. Jyoti Kumar. And we thank you all once again. I would now request Dr. Anuradha Madhukar, Senior Principal Scientist at International S&T Affairs Directorate, to present the vote of thanks, please.
Thank you, Mohit. A very good evening to all of you. In the beginning, I would like to thank all the speakers for having taken time out from their busy schedule to be with us here today, and for having provided valuable insights and information to all the participants. I'm sure this information will be used to the extent as far as possible to help them formulate projects and seek funding from your organizations. I'm also very thankful to all the participants for having participated and in this program, and almost grilled all the speakers here for getting information, and hopefully you will use all this information for your benefit. This is, as far as I can remember, the first of its kind program which has been organized by ISTAD, and we would love to have feedback from you about this program and also suggestions from you for further programs like this which could benefit you in various areas. Thank you one and all for participating. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. We have a hand raised from Dr. Lalita. You would like to say something, ma'am?
Yes, I just wanted to request all the participants, all the scientists from CSIR community to look through our website, www.igstc.org. We do have few new programs, and from CSIR we were getting a good number of applications, and there were many awards to various almost 9 CSIR institutions. But still, for the newer programs also, please visit. And for any queries, you can contact IGSTC. There is email IDs available, and contact me. And we are very happy to reply to you within 5 working days. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. With this, we close the session, and I once again thank our eminent speakers who spared their valuable time and beared with us during the inconveniences. And thank you to our respective participants from CSR community as well as to people joining online. We wish you happy collaborations ahead, and we'll be happy to take up any queries you have. Thank you all.